Hello and welcome in to Living with Intention live streaming here. I'm April Wyatt and I'm excited to have two amazing guests today as we're bringing forward a really good topic, especially, during the holidays, right? How we can breathe a little easier. I can raise my hand to that. So building a business that breathes. And that's what I'm all about too, is breathing, as I am a somatic performance coach. And what I do is I help leaders strengthen their nervous system, right? Because that's the only thing that we can tune in and tap into in the autonomic nervous system is the breath. And that's what resets, that's what gets us into the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest, to where we can make decisions with more clarity, right? Have a more calm presence. And then that way things just go a little bit more smoothly. Because I do believe really that when our inner world settles, then everything around us really starts to become clear and it makes more sense. So that's why this conversation today is so important as we bring together Kim and Colleen to talk about business and how their expertise and skill sets can help you breathe a little easier, right? Just lighten the load. And that way you can be in that space of calm and clarity and really focus on what matters to you. So I know that they're going to give you some great tips and resources today. And also I want to talk about something that's new and also really true to my heart is my Bali retreat coming up. And so that really is about creating that space where you can rest, you can find more space for yourself. And this is coming up in October of next year, which is, wow, less than 11 months away now, October 10th through the 17th. And it is in the northern shores of Bali. So it's away from all the hustle and bustle. It's nestled right next to the shore there. And as you can see, this picture is taken from there. And also this waterfall experience we're going to have. I mean, what a revitalization of your body to stand under this waterfall and receive that just cleansing and purification. And it just really seeps into your mind, body, and your spirit for sure. And what's so special about it is we do carve out a space in the middle of the day for 3 hours. You get to do whatever you want to do. If you want to snorkel, if you want to lay by the pool, they even have a pool there. I know it sounds funny. The beach is right there, but there's also the pool. And also you can read a book, you can take a nap, and to really help that pause so you can rise. We're also incentivizing a spa gift, and they have beautiful services there that you can choose from on us. So my co-host Brian Cochran and myself and Antonia, our wonderful support person, will be there, and we're there to help really bring in that pause, bring in that breath. So that way you can rise, you can be in spaces and feel more optimal, right? Whether it's in your work environment or your personal life, wherever you go, there you are. And so that's happening again, October 10th through the 17th. You can click that QR code or take a picture of that QR code up there. Find that information on my website, livingwithintention.co. And also, I want to do a big shout out for who brings us together is Mike Asherbranner with the Hounds of Business. This is how I met Colleen and Kim, is through him. And it's really about building a community that levels each other up. As you'll see us working and co-creating today, this is what we want, is not to chase leads. We want those really warm introductions and have value, right, with these connections. It's not a one and done type of situation there with Mike and the Hounds. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my amazing guests with Colleen and Kim. Welcome in. So excited to have you here. I appreciate you both taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know you're so busy. I've been watching both of you and everything that you've been doing for your community, for your family, and for your clients too. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us, April.
So good to be here this afternoon.
Yes, it is. It's good to just be here and take a breath, right? As we're going to be co-creating and bringing forward some amazing insights for our viewers, right? And one of them that I want to talk about is how each of you, bring the clarity through your business, right? With your values and your vision, and then how that amplifies your voice with those communities. You both are so authentic with how you work with others, and how you just come forward and are who you are. So can you just unpack that a little bit about your clarity, your vision, how you can help, or maybe even share experiences, yes, this is what I'm getting into. Share your experiences about how you're able to support your clients in bringing clarity for their business so that they can breathe.
Sure, yeah. I'll go ahead and go first. I think that one of the things I always have my clients do, usually right up front, is to sit down and audit their business and audit themselves. And it's a real moment of clarity, right? You have to put just it's got to be done in all humility, where you really just analyze the things in your business that you absolutely have to do, that have to have your personal touch, right? Because we're all building a business. We understand there are a lot of different avenues and things that have to be done. And I'm not talking about all the things that have to be done. I want them to realize what they have to do, because having to have something done and having to do it yourself are two totally different extremes, right? And I think that when they narrow that down, when they're brutally honest about whether it makes a difference, whether they do it or someone else does, then that gives them room to breathe, right? And it allows them to find balance, which is so important. And I think that, I give the example that 5 years ago, I paid somebody to decorate my home for Christmas, right? My tree, my porch, my yard, all the things. And I went and decorated my 4 Airbnbs and my boutique. And afterwards, I just kicked myself. I just realized that there was somebody at my house decorating a tree with my grandkids. And I missed that. And really, truly, nobody cares how the boutiques and the Airbnb were decorated at all. And so there are things that there's a recipe or a standard operating procedure that can be followed so that anybody can do those things. But what it really boils down to in your business, a lot of times the personal touch needs to be on your relationships. So you need to be the face and voice of your business. That's the biggest touch point that you need to be. But the rest can be done by somebody else, can be automated or delegated, right? But having that clarity and really understanding what you have to do gives you a better strategy moving forward. And it's hard to say because, especially as women entrepreneurs, we feel like we can do it. The problem I had with decorating was like, I knew this house looks like a gingerbread house on the outside. I wanted it to be peppermint candy and hot chocolate themed inside everywhere. We had another one that was all candy themed, another one that was winter wonderland. And I didn't think people had the same vision, right? But they could have had. I just didn't give them the opportunity to.
Hmm.
I think we're the only ones that can do it right. Then we're getting our own way.
Exactly. That's so true that we get on our own way and think it needs to be a certain way. And then other people can learn as we give them that space, or, receive assistance so that we have the space,
Yes.
So how about you, Kim?
Oh,
About the
I
clarity.
resonate with that so much, Colleen. And working with clients, I work with so many entrepreneurs that have come from the corporate world and have made that transition, using knowledge or skills or passions that they have to transition into something that, brings them joy and income. And it's sometimes a big leap. And I know it was for me. When I left the corporate world, it was, I muted myself. I was afraid to say things because I came from an environment where you could be running around in the background with your team, with your hair on fire, and things could be going crazy. And, out in the front, it's all got to be perfect. You never let anybody know that there's like struggles behind the scenes. Everything is just fine. It's pumpkin pie perfect, as we used to say. And so I went out with that exact feel, that exact emotion of I have to be perfect before I can say anything. And, so I muted myself and I stood in the background, and it took me so much longer to get out there and let people even know I existed, because I was trying to make sure that everything was just right. As an entrepreneur, you got to just go and stop worrying about everything being perfect. And you have to stop muting your voice and realizing you have something to say, and it's unique, and it doesn't have to be exactly like everybody else. Actually, it should not be like everybody else. I have so many people that I work with, and they look at all of the competitors and they try and mimic them, or I want you to look at competitors to see what you can do differently. How can you say something differently? And when you start to do that and you start to say, heck, I'm just going to get out there and let people know who I am, come across authentically, like Colleen was talking about, be yourself, and stop making up things that because you think you have to look a certain way, and make those human connections. All of a sudden you get more confidence, and people see the real you, and you start to get those relationships that are meaningful and attract the people that you want to work with and that want to work with you. And then you're right, you can start to breathe easier because you're not faking it till you make it.
Yes, that's a very good point. I'm so glad you brought that up, Kim. Faking it, till you make it. And so that's something that I think a lot of people think they need to keep pushing. As Colleen said, I have to do it a certain way, and we take it all on ourselves, especially women entrepreneurs. And so how can we give ourselves that ease, that space, to where we don't feel that we have to keep jumping through those hoops? What is it that you both bring to the table that you can, help the clients, help our listeners and viewers have more space to breathe?
Well, let me jump in there, because I would say the first thing that we have to do is give ourselves forgiveness of not being not knowing everything. And this is a perfect time. Let's all talk about what's happening in the world. AI is invading everything. You don't have to know everything to be able to use it and benefit from it. You don't have to be perfect. So let's take that as an example. So use that as a way to think about yourselves. Like, you don't have to be perfect. Forgive yourself for not knowing everything, and get out there. And I love to take people through a framework called the True Brand Framework. And it stands for 4 things. The first thing is to be true to who you are with authenticity, and then be relevant to a specific audience. Who is it that you help, and what problem do you solve? And then think about your unique genius. I find this one is really interesting because so many people struggle to think, I don't have any unique genius. There's nothing that I do that's unique or worthwhile. But I want to challenge you on that, because everybody has something that people come to them for and are always asking them for their help, that maybe they've never been paid for it, or you just take it for granted, right? That's your unique genius. And then E is for expression. How do you get out there and then be confident in showing up, expressing your message? And that's when then you can start to build on what do I look like? How do I dress? Is there some way that I can do something that is meaningful visually that helps people remember me?
Yes, good. I love that. Walking them through that. If you can put that in the notes for people, I put it in the chat so that way they can remember it, because I was so engrossed in what you were saying, Kim.
I will try and do that.
Yes.
I don't want to miss what Colleen has to say.
I know, Colleen. You're up.
Let's talk about this. Last night we were talking about experiences, and I think that we need to understand the value that we hold is in our message that shares our experience, right?
Mm-hmm. That's
the gold. Everybody thinks it's in something else. It's in copying somebody else. It's in sharing some secret somebody found. But it's not. It's in sharing the journey. When we talked last night on the panel, somebody made a comment that said it's so much better to share your experience and to learn from somebody else's experience than to just read a book. And my favorite book to read is a journal. Why? Because it takes you on the journey with them, right? And so when you are who you are, you know what? I promise you, I assure you with everything in me, I am not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not even their shot of whiskey. Okay. I am a farm girl. I just came in from milking the cow, right? So, and that's a part of who I am. And I show up that way. And if it bothers you, then there's the door, and it's okay. Because there are other people that my message resonates with that say, oh, wow, so she's milking cows and running businesses. That's crazy. So, and it's not going to resonate with everybody. And that's okay. But we have to understand as entrepreneurs that is the goal in our business, is sharing our experience and our message through our journey. And there's no reason to not show up because we're not perfect. Are you looking for somebody perfect? Because I've never once looked for a friend or somebody to hang out with that was perfect. Perfect for what part's perfect? I'm not.
No.
I'm looking for the person whose smile resonates with me, who when they talk and they laugh, it lights me up, who when they talk about things that I find interesting, it just really draws me in. That's what I'm looking for. Perfect isn't even on the block. So why do we hold ourselves to that standard? Yeah. Being okay with ourselves and our story and our journey is huge in building a business. Huge, and there's just so much to unpack here. How do you get okay with that? How do you become okay? And because we were raised, especially for Gen X, to be a certain way, even from the time where it was like kids are to be spoken when they're spoken to, you're supposed to be seen and not heard, all of these things that we were taught. And yet we have to let those go and just be okay with being ourselves. And I think for me, obviously I believe in God. So I have a higher connection. I make that connection and I find my value there. But every day doing things, taking the time, meditate, pray, just downtime. I don't care if it's yoga, grounding. I love to ground. I don't care how cold it is. Barefoot on the grass every morning, first thing with 8 ounces of warm water, and I'm good to go. But you have to put yourself in that position where you're taking care of yourself so that you can see the value in you, and understand that, so that when you're bringing it, you're not doing the comparisonitis. You're not trying to be perfect. You're not all of the things, right?
Exactly. I love that, Colleen, what you just ended with, and just being vulnerable and transparent, and be ourselves. I think that's the big thing. Not It's nice to get glimpses from somebody else of what they're doing and get excited for them, instead of I need to do exactly what they're doing because that's what's going to get me XYZ. That doesn't get us anywhere but chasing our own tail. It kind of reminds me of something Mike would say. But it's about us showing up as authentic and having those conversations, or being who we really are, so that way people like you or they don't, like you said, Colleen, and that's okay, right? You want to attract the people that get you, that feels comfortable around you, and then that's where you build that community, and then you have that space to breathe, because we're not having a facade, or trying to show up as somebody else, or those masks that people talk about. Yes.
And when you're showing up as your authentic self, everything else in your business comes easily. More easily is not a word. Comes with more ease, right?
There we
And
go.
so when you're sharing your story, you're no longer writing captions, trying to create content. You're just sharing your life. You're just sharing your journey. And that removes the hardship from that part of your business, right? When you're connecting with people and saying, okay, well, when I did this, even if it was 20 years ago, you can say my experience doing this was, and just sharing that builds relationships, right?
Yes, it does.
I love that, Colleen. It's so true that showing up as yourself, it's less of that, having to put everything together in a presentation and memorizing it. It's because it's so much easier to go out and talk to people and present and not feel like you're up there putting on a persona, right?
Right.
Exactly. And that's why I love the way you both work, is because you show up as who you are, and you simply invite people. There's no push. There's no salesy. There's no pitching. It's you showing up authentically, saying, how can I help you? Because that's what happened when I met both of you. It's like right away, Colleen, how can I help you? What is it that you do? And Kim, I'm curious about you. Tell me more about what you do, and this is how I can help you. Instead of people having an agenda, and so this is what I love about you both, is because you are sincere and you are compassionate with whom you're working with, and you really lean in and listen. And that's
and I have to say, April, that wasn't the way it was in the beginning for me.
Yes,
put on
please
a
share that.
and
Please share that.
I put on a persona. I was trying to be somebody else. I was trying to pretend that I had a business with an office and a secretary, because that's what I thought you had to do.
Mm.
When I let go of all that, oh my gosh, it was like getting rid of the shackles. And I got so much more comfortable, and I just said, you know what, the heck with it. I am who I am. I do have to say now, it's so much easier for people to have a business and work from anywhere. But when I started, it wasn't necessarily that way. You tried to pretend that you had, something bigger than what you were, or I thought that's what you needed. I needed to have like a post office box so that it looked like I had a mailing address and I had somebody answering my phone. Nobody cared about that really in the end, just me. I just put that in my head, and when I let go of that, so much more relaxed, and I was able to be myself, and I attracted the right people then.
Yeah, and I agree. I think letting go is key because nobody scrutinizes your business and yourself like you do.
Yeah.
They just don't. When I started online, and it was interesting because I had found myself at a crossroads. I had sold my businesses to take care of my mom. She had a long-term health issue that required her to be homebound, and she needed 24/7 care for 10 to 15 years. So I sold my businesses, clearly doing exactly what I wanted to do to take care of my mom. And then she passed away 5 months later. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I loved my businesses. I'd been doing them for 7 years. I loved them. And I thought about what I wanted to do. And what I really wanted to do was come online and teach people to build businesses they're madly passionate about. And when I got into doing that, there were so many people saying, oh, this is exactly what you have to do. You have to do this, 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 this. And none of those things felt right to me. They didn't. And when I quit looking for something that felt right to me and created what felt right to me, that was the shift. That was the shift. When I started saying, no, I have all of these women that I'm coaching and they're stuck with the tech. They hate it. So let's fix that for them. Then everything shifted for me, right? And it's not that I was a tech guru. I mean, I loved tech even back in high school when we were coding old school, right? And shorthand class, if that was even part of tech. We didn't have the internet. I remember them telling us that in the future, we would be talking to somebody who was sitting in New York in a room with a computer, and the whole room was filled with this computer. They showed us a picture of it, and we'd be able to talk to him through a computer. And I was like, yeah, right. And I did all the business things. I was president of the business club and the English club and all that. I've always loved business. And so when I really dove into being able to help women build businesses they're madly passionate about, things shifted, doing it my way and having a little bit of faith in my experience and my journey. And then realizing that I can share that and that it helps somebody. So many of us don't see the value in that, right? Like, if you make cookies and you just have always done it, you get up every day and you make cookies, you probably don't see any value in it. But when you realize that your neighbor's never baked a thing, there's a huge value in it.
Huge. And it's so important also for us to know how to accept that we need a little help, that we don't have to carry the load. And that's another space that gives us a little bit more breathing room. And this is why I knew that the both of you would be amazing on this call, is because of your skill sets and how you've helped hundreds of people. And so I just would love for you to share a little bit about maybe a client story, somebody who was struggling that, our readers could, and our listeners could, relate to. It's a client that was struggling, and then how you helped them through that. Kim, do you mind going first?
Sure. So, interestingly, I had, when I was starting out working with small business owners, a couple of women came to me, and they had just left the corporate world. So they intentionally were starting a business. They both came from HR, and they wanted to start a business that was going to be for small business owners. So they wanted an HR company that was going to help small business owners with HR, all the hiring, firing, and all the legal stuff that, would help them avoid actually hiring a lawyer for everything. They thought this was amazing. It's going to be a great service, but they were struggling in the beginning to actually gain traction. So when we started to work together to build their brand, and we started to dig in a little deeper, we went and did some research, and I did a survey with some clients and some potential clients. And the interesting thing that we found by doing that was that small business owners didn't really give a hoot about HR. They didn't think about HR, so they weren't hiring. They weren't doing that because they just didn't have the knowledge. But what that led us to was that there were small, a little bit bigger companies that maybe had a small HR department that was overworked and overwhelmed, that needed help with special projects and expertise from outside on a per project basis. Well, we were able to completely switch their messaging, and with that, they started to, not talk to the small business owners, but talk to these small HR departments, and their business started to flourish. The two partners then started to have to hire people, and this was before the pandemic, so they were working at home remotely, and they were able to hire. They're up to 10 people on their team now, working remotely, helping small companies with small HR departments to do extra projects, and they're flourishing. But that's because we went and we, figured it out. Like, sometimes you have to iterate, sometimes you have to pivot on what you think your skills are and who you're helping and how you're relevant for people.
That's amazing. I love how they once they tweaked it, right? They had an outside, they need somebody outside to be able to see and then just move things around a little bit more. So that way they could flourish. That's amazing. Yeah, Colleen.
I have two that I want to share with you. Yeah, I have two. So first is a lady that I was just working with on coaching. When we sat down and looked at her goals, what she wanted to do was to be able to retire from her office job, but still make the same amount of money she was making there. And I was like, okay, and in your retirement, what does that look like? She's like, well, I want to be in shape. I've never had the time to get in shape. I want to be in shape, and I want to make money and be able to travel and do things with my husband wherever we are to make money. And so we dove into that a little bit deeper. And what she came up with that she wanted to do was to teach chair yoga, and she loves walking. And so we were able to put our minds together and help her create a chair yoga subscription. And she has a walking club. And this is so basic, and I share this for a reason. She didn't have a great big huge dream of making thousands and thousands of dollars a month. She just wanted to replace what she was making working 2 days a week in an office. She wanted to get in shape, and she wanted to make money and be able to do it from anywhere. And we were able to combine all those goals into one. Now, she got into the tech, and she absolutely hated it. She's like, I'm going to have to quit if I have to do tech. So I'm like, handle the tech end for you. And so I put together the tech end, the automations, all the things that go with it. And so she can literally just show up and teach and make her money. And so I felt like, and she was almost 70. So something
that's amazing. And that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Colleen, because people think they get to a certain age and then they're just stuck with wherever they're at. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is not true.
Well, and it just goes to show you too, that you don't have to have like this brilliant business plan. Like, I'm going to go do this. She took where she wanted to be in life and then realized that she has a really good track record of showing up for others. And so if she could get just one person subscribed, one person coming to her walking club, she would be showing up. And then consistency, she's suddenly living her dream, right? Yes. And so then I'll share another one with you. And that is, I was hired by a lady to do all of her back office. And I did it. And I explained to her that it would be done. And she could just jump in and check every day and see if she had any messages, check her calendar appointments. And she was so nervous and so overwhelmed and stressed out that it almost was contagious through the screen. And I finally said to her, I said, look, just relax and meet me on a Zoom call and let's go through every one of your questions, And she'd pull up a question. Well, I got to do this. And I'd say, okay, let's go look at it because it's already done. She's like, well, it can't be done. I'm like, okay, but it's done. And we go, she's like, whew. And you could just see her transform and become relaxed. You can see her start to glow with confidence. She's like, okay, let's look at calendars because this has been so difficult. I'm like, okay, but you have 5. And she's like, 5 is a lot. I don't know how to do 5 calendars. I'm like, they're done. Come look. I showed her and she's like, oh my gosh, this is done. I'm like, yeah, just show up. It's all done.
Yeah.
Just show up. That's what you pay me the big bucks for. And it's not even big bucks, but I enjoy it. And it's done. And it's set up and it's running. So she could go and just scale her business. And she could do it confidently, right? No more showing up overwhelmed. Because when you show up that way, people get the edge. They're like, okay, they're not quite comfortable. Something's not right, right? And so to be able to give them the ability to show up as their best selves with confidence is huge. And so, yeah.
It is huge. And this is about how we are creating that space within ourselves. We're starting to trust ourselves also in business, trusting that we don't have all the answers either. And by acquiring, Kim's expertise and yours, Colleen, of helping them to map things out so they can see more clearly, and that eases the pressure that we put on ourselves too. And that really impacts our bodies. And also the scattered thinking is, as you alluded to, having more clarity, seeing the bigger picture. When we're just going through the weeds of business and we have piles of lists and 5 calendars and all that, it is very challenging to see, the possibilities of our goals that we want to achieve.
Yeah. And my dad used to say that the most successful people don't know it all.
Yeah.
They know how to figure it out.
Yeah.
They know where to get the answers. They might not have all the answers, but they know where to get them. And I think that comes with the freedom too. When we start believing in ourselves, start believing in the ability that we have. We don't have to have the ability. I don't have to have the ability to go figure out how a train works. I just need to know how to buy a ticket.
Yes.
Right? Go find the person that's selling the ticket, and then I can go on the train ride. I don't have to build the train.
That's right.
And I love what you said, Colleen, about that one client who she had, what she knew what she wanted, but she didn't know how to get there. Sometimes you have to talk to other people and they can see through the weeds that you can't. Like, you helped her figure out how she could have what she wanted. I love that.
Yeah. And I think that so many people, if they really sit and think about what they want in life, what they really want, what's the end result they want, and how to get there, and then talk it out, talk with other people, even in networking and socializing and building these relationships, just having that sounding board even is huge. And then being able to say, okay, this makes sense. Who can help me?
Yeah.
Because you don't go build a house yourself. No, you find somebody who knows how to frame, somebody who knows how to do a foundation. You find all the parts and pieces and piece it together.
Exactly. And this is what I love about the Hounds of Business too, because there are so many different people with wonderful talents and skill sets that we don't have to do this alone. We don't. And again, I just want to shout out to Mike. And I mean, we have several hounds that has popped in here. Islam, who's tuning in from Egypt. Thank you so much for being here, Islam. I want to go visit him in Egypt for sure. That would be amazing. Cairo area. And of course, Mike's been here, and Nathan or Mitchell is popped in as well. These are amazing people to connect with. And Amy I always mess her maiden name up. Amy Cornfroth Long was also here too. She's an amazing person as well. And we just need to know that when we have a community of support, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, like Colleen, you said about the train, right? Somebody's got the ticket, selling the ticket for us, and we can just relax a little bit more, connect with others, ask those questions. Our nervous system might feel a little activated, like, oh no, you're supposed to know all these things. You've been in this business for so long. That's the pressure we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it feels very uncomfortable to get outside the box, but that's where growth is. And connecting with amazing people such as yourselves, this is where growth happens. This is where we learn and gain knowledge, and we co-create together. It's so important.
You're so bang on there, April. It takes a village. They always say it takes a village to raise children. It takes a village to run a business. And don't try and do everything on your own. I had to learn the hard way that, I needed help. I needed a business coach who could help me figure out what I shouldn't be doing. I shouldn't be doing my own finances. That was really bad. It was just a bad idea. And I didn't know where to go until I found, communities and where I was able to talk, and people all of a sudden bring up resources like, oh yeah, like calendars, like, oh yeah, you can connect all your calendars, and like little things that just help you build on your business, that make it easier, that make it run smoother, so that it doesn't take up all of your time, so that you have some leisure time to go and decorate with your grandchildren or for the holidays, and things that are really important. I actually started this business because of my kids. When I realized, because I became an entrepreneur accidentally. I was never ever considering having my own business, but I was laid off in 2008 when we had a big recession. And at that time, my kids were young, and all of a sudden I had that time with them that I never had before. And life became calm and peaceful. I wasn't yelling and screaming in the morning to get going, and yelling and screaming that we got to eat and get to activities. All of a sudden, I could see a different way of life, and I always call it my gift that was given to me, to see how life could be and have an opportunity to choose. So, why are you having a business? For all of the other reasons.
I love that. I love that. And the thing is you're right. You're so right. It takes a village. And I want my village to be a melting pot, right? And I find that that's what it is in the hounds, right? Everybody's so unique. They all bring unique talents and gifts. And just a fun story to share with you about the power of getting out of your own way. When I owned my boutique, I had an employee quit. I've only ever had one employee quit, and she quit. And I went next door to the accountant and I said, look, I'm not able to get anybody this quick, so I'll just do it. Sure, how hard can you do the work for me, right? That was the dumbest idea ever. But the next morning, I got up and I rolled over in bed and looked at my cameras, pulled up the cameras at the store, and it didn't look like anybody was there. And I was like, that's weird. Oh, maybe they're inside the store. So I pulled up the cameras inside, and I'm like, nobody's there. That was the oddest thing. Who was on the schedule? And I pulled up the schedule. I'm like, well, hell, it's me. And I was supposed to be open in 10 minutes, and I live 30 minutes from town. So I dropped and ran. And I tell you what, I pulled in, and my store manager was standing there with Cherry Coke. She's like, you look like you're having a rough day. Here, give up. I went in, and I was late. Later in the day, I climbed up on a ladder, slipped and fell off, sliced the bum of my foot open. I fired myself that day. I am the world's worst employee. I have no business being an employee. I'd never done it before, and I've never done it since. Just some things need hired out, And there's no shame in that. We just do it and get on with things. It makes you a better person when you can hire people who are really, really good at what they do, and they make you look really good at what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the value. Right. The value. And as we invest in others, we're investing in ourselves at the same time. We're giving ourselves that space, that breathing room too. So that way we can, just even the weight of like finances, as Kim said, I'm like, oh, and it's like, wow. Yeah. Having somebody to do my finances. Oh, and then taxes would be a breeze. right?
Yeah.
So that's always something. And being an entrepreneur doesn't mean you have to struggle and you have to push and be in those trenches. I mean, it's like a badge of honor, isn't it? That a lot of people say, "Oh, I do everything myself and I'm doing." No, this is what depletes us and scatters our energy and our nervous system, and we can feel it in our bodies and in our minds. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
there used
loving
to
this
be that
conversation. Yeah.
there used to be that saying where like I'll work 80 hours a week for myself so I don't have to work 40 for someone else. And after I learned to automate and delegate, I'm like, yeah, I'll work 20 hours a week for myself and learn to automate and delegate so I don't have to work 40 or 60 for someone else.
Yeah.
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 Unpack that a little bit. What does that mean to automate and delegate, Colleen? I love
Automate
it.
and
It's like your
delegate,
tagline, isn't it?
It is, and the thing is so many things need your touch. They need personalized. So especially when it comes to like copywriting, let's go with that. You're going to write copy for emails. You're going to write copies for your landing pages, your websites, things like that. I tell all of my clients, sit, make a cozy place like you would if you had your best friend coming over, and sit and write these things out, the same as you would say them to your best friend, so that they're heartfelt, and then go automate the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Take that email that is heartfelt written and send it to everybody, and tweak it just a little bit for the next project and send it to everybody, right? So automate, but automate with heart. Automate is getting things done so that they're done consistently without you having to put the effort in more than once, right? And then delegating, finding people. And that's another thing I like with the hounds. I just love this, is that I can say, hey, April, I'm thinking about working on my brand. Have you sat down and visited with Kim? How did that go? And are you confident in referring me to her?
Yeah.
Do you think that in this situation in my business, and this is a safe place. If I said to April, look, I feel like my back end's a mess or my brand's a mess, I really kind of need some help. April's not going to go fly the flag like Colleen hates her brand. She's going to say, look, I think Kim is amazing. I've seen some of the work she's done. Go talk to her. And so I'm not going out there cold calling to get help. I'm going with
Yes.
people who other people have confidence in, people that I know, like, and trust, have other people in their network that they know, like, and trust, and they're confident in sharing that with me. And that's huge inside the house, to be able to say, hey, Nathan, I need help with this. Hey, Mike, I need help with this. Baz, I'm trying to, make my tiers, level up my tiers and my offerings. Can you help? These people are there to help, not judge. And if you can delegate to them and say, hey, Kim, can you just please look at my brand? I want it to feel like this. I want it to sound like this. This is who I am in my life. This is what my everyday day looks like. This is what I love to do in my business. Can you help me with my brand? She goes and does her magic and comes back to me and says, do you like this? How does this feel? Does this resonate with you? Does this feel like your brand? And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, she goes back to the drawing board, right? But being able to delegate it to people that way takes it off my plate. I'm not going to sit here over Thanksgiving worrying about my brand. If Kim's worrying about it, she can go worry about it. I'll just let her, or how much her finances. She's not going to sweat her finances. She's just going to gather the papers on the 31st and go get ready to do her taxes.
Exactly. Exactly. And Kim, before you chime in, I just want to say that when you can delegate something, then that leaves, your plate more open. Yeah. And how even and I didn't mean to come on here to, well, of course, let's push the hounds, right? Because this is who we are. But there's so many heart-centered, valued people, and we don't know everything, just as we said earlier. We can get different perspectives. We can gain a little bit more clarity, or even something that we hadn't even thought of doing before can come from having those conversations with other people. So Kim, what were you thinking about because I saw you nodding and, agreeing with what Colleen was saying.
Just trying to do it all. Trying to do it all yourself. And it made me start to think about, how much time you're losing in the things that you want to do, the things that are your dreams and your goals. even taking care of yourself, right?
Mm.
Well, April, like so many people that you meet in the community are not taking care of themselves properly, and putting themselves last. Like, what happens if, something happens to you and, can your business go on? You know, I think about that a lot with the people that I work with. For myself, I have to be healthy for my business to go on.
Mhm.
I know that, there's some stuff that's automated, but I'm still the face. I'm the brand, and I need to show up. So if I'm not taking care of myself, and if I haven't made space for that, then I'm doing a disservice to myself.
And your
Yes.
client.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So
And
we're
when you
getting
lighten your load, when you lighten your load, it gives you the freedom to show up as the face and voice of your business as your best self. Right?
Mhm.
You remove the overwhelm, you remove the imbalance, you remove the frustration.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so we're getting towards the top of the hour, and so I would love for each of you to share just one like really good juicy tip for entrepreneurs out there that are struggling to catch their breath with their business. What is a valuable tip that you wish you would have known when you first started out? And since I already have you up, Colleen.
I'm thinking that you really need to build your business as a separate entity of yourself, if that makes sense. Step back and look at your business as its own thing, and then only put your hand in the cookie jar where it has to have your personal touch. The rest, automate and delegate. Really, truly, this is my 9th business in 37 years. I did work for somebody 1 year, but I've always been an entrepreneur. And my businesses that did the best, I automated and delegated. They did the best so much so that I could open multiple businesses at the same time because of automation and delegation.
That is amazing. Yeah. Good tips. Amazing. And Kim?
I want people to know that their brand is one of the most important assets that they have in their business. So many people just dismiss it, and they think that, people buy products and services, and that's not really true. What they're buying from a person that they can trust, they connect with, and that tells them what they need with clarity. So branding gives your business a voice, a presence, and a purpose. And I think that more people need to realize that it's not about your pretty colors and your website. Your brand is your reputation, and you need to consider nurturing that.
Oh, that's a really, really good tip. Yes, thank you for saying that. And I think that's where entrepreneurs fall in the trap of, I need this amazing website first. Instead of sitting down, like Colleen said, sit down with me, tell me what it is. Let's map this out. Let's see what comes forward. And having amazing people such as both of you that can see that for your clients, that can walk them through the steps, whether it's the automate and delegate, or really focusing on the branding and just growing into that. We need people outside of ourselves to be that mirror to help us through, so that way we can see a little bit more clearly and we feel more confident in the end. And guess what? It's going to change.
Yeah.
Right? It changes throughout our career, our life, and that's fine because we're evolving And I think a lot of people kind of pigeonhole themselves into it, saying, oh my gosh, I spent so much money on this website, and I've done all this, and I spent so much money on this coaching, and so I have to stay in this lane. No, nope, you do not. And that's okay, right? We don't dread throwing out the pair of shoes that we outgrow, or the pair of pants, when we were growing up. Oh, you just get a new pair of pants, Yes. So how can people reach you? How do you want them to reach out to you? Share what you have coming up. Maybe if you have a workshop coming up, or anything of that nature, if you want to share that.
Sure. So I'm easily found on LinkedIn, also simplifiedceosystems.com. And every Monday morning, I host a Monday morning coffee chat at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I have a co-host that is an entrepreneur that shares their business with my audience. And so it's always a fun time and very educational. We do post in advance so that you know what the topic is. This week we'll have Tawana Lowry, and she is talking about, she's a storytelling coach. Yeah, she's fun. And then next Monday, a week from this Monday, is going to be Mike. So it'll be good to have Mike there from the house. So.
That'll be great. And so people can get the real deal from him. And that's his comment there. He's loving this conversation for sure. Yeah. So reach out to Colleen on LinkedIn. I know if Colleen just put that in there in the comments. So that way.
Doesn't let me put any comments in.
Oh, see, that's what.
Otherwise, I would be commenting.
This is what Mike said. Comments are messed up today. So
Yeah.
Did you see my comments as I was commenting?
I've seen yours.
Okay. Yeah, that's too bad. So thank you, everyone, for being here and commenting, or trying to comment and can't.
Where can we find Kim?
Yeah. Yes, Kim. How about you? Thank you,
Colleen. Oh, yeah. Definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. I hang out a lot on LinkedIn, so you can find me there. But I also have a group called the Employee to Entrepreneur Society on Facebook. And each week I do interviews with fellow entrepreneurs that give us their story to inspire us, and also give us tips to grow our businesses. So please join me there as well.
Very good.
Wonderful. Wonderful. It was so lovely having you ladies. I so appreciate you being here and sharing your expertise and your truth, and sharing, just the things that you've been through too as an entrepreneur. And just know, everyone, that you don't have to go it alone, right? This is about bringing awareness to what's happening with your mind, your body, and just allowing to reach out and seek support from amazing individuals like Kim and Colleen, because that's what they're here to do, and myself, of course. So reach out if you have any questions about Bali. I would love to share that with you as well. So ladies and everyone watching, thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Be well.
Thank you so much, April.
Thank you, April.
You're most welcome.